guys, what's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rise. We're back here at my favorite filming spot location because guess what? We have that one iconic Japanese brand bringing turbocharged power. It's this vehicle right here. This is a 2025 Mazda 3. This is a Mazda 3 Turbo, which has all-wheel drive. But before we get into this it's so close to a Mazda Speed 3 of a vehicle, let's talk about what's going on here. Mazda, like I said, it's that iconic Japanese brand. It actually originally started back in 1929. It was a producer of cork. Yes, cork. Just like the cork that goes in a wine bottle or a champagne bottle, that's what they produced. They didn't produce cars. The little different thing that starts with a C. But by 1933, Mazda produced their first actual vehicle. It was called the Mazda Go. It was a three-wheel pickup truck. One wheel up front that did the steering and two wheels out back with a little tiny bed. And from there on, like we say, it's all in the history books. This Japanese brand went on to be the brand to usher in rotary power cars. Even though they didn't develop the technology, they perfected it, and they were the first Japanese brand to win the coveted 24 Hours of Le Mans, and the only brand to do it in a vehicle that was rotary powered. Now, of course, in model year 2025, there hasn't been a rotary powered engine Mazda in quite some time. The last one here in the United States was the Mazda RX-8, and there really wasn't much to talk about with that car. But eventually they had what was called the Mazda Speed 3. Basically taking the Mazda 3 and giving it some of that extra steroid injected performance. Now, a lot of people have been waiting for a Mazda Speed 3 to take place with the current generation. And even to this day, Mazda says they're not going to do it. They say they want to be viewed as a more adult, grown-up brand. Well, I'm here to personally tell you that growing up sucks and being an adult is overrated, but I am happy that they brought this vehicle. Now, it's interesting because when you look at the price point, a main competitor would be from Volkswagen. It's not the car that you think. You're going to probably say Golf R because the Golf R is turbocharged power, all-wheel drive. No. This, price point-wise, competes with the Volkswagen GTI, which is a front-wheel drive, turbocharged hatchback. But what I want to find out is, for the price, do you go Mazda Speed? I almost said it. I wish. I feel like if I say it enough, maybe it will happen. But would you go with this Mazda 3 Turbo? Or do you go with the OG of the hot hatches, the Volkswagen GTI? Let's go ahead. Let's dive into our Mazda 3 Turbo and find out. Right off the bat, I'm still digging this generation of the Mazda 3, and it's fascinating because it's been around for a while, and Mazda is good with their designs that they're very timeless. This vehicle is actually aging very well. Another thing I love about it is the color, polymetal metallic. I know everybody wants Soul Red. That's like the go-to color for Mazdas, but this polymetal metallic looks stunning. Now, at the front of the business, you're gonna see that updated headlight design. You got your LED daytime running lamps, LED projector beam headlight, and turn signals. I love the way on the Turbo, you get the darker metallic gunmetal gray trim finish rather than the shiny chrome. And everything has just a nice, smooth proportion to it. This one does have the optional enlarged splitter along the bottom, and you can actually follow that splitter all the way towards that center grille area. The way that the grille is shaped, that gloss black on the grille, it actually mimics the way that the badge is, the Mazda branding. That's that shape there. But the gunmetal metallic gray finish, I love the way how on this vehicle, compared to the GTI, it looks like it has a nice long front end to it. And that to me just gives it that nice sleek, almost like bullet shape appearance. We have the optional aero package, so you're gonna get this beefy front splitter, get air scooped in there for our turbocharged intercooled setup. But definitely when it comes to style, I prefer the Mazda 3 front end over the GTI. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. Now, as we rise up, no hard edges, no creases. Everything's just a nice smooth flow, very natural, very organic into the A-pillars. Love the way they do the dip on both sides of the hood and how it goes from the hood into the lower front fascia and fender. Now, as we come around the bend, when you go Mazda Turbo, you do get a specific wheel. It's these gloss black multi-spoke wheels, 18-inch wheel. Here's where they went a little wrong. The wheels are too narrow on this thing. 215 on the width. That's like bicycle tire width. This thing would be great with some 245s, all four corners, maybe just lower it about an inch. It'd be looking pretty damn good, I have to admit. But I do like the style of the wheel, and I like the way they're just gloss black. The wheels on the GTI have more of a machined aluminum style to it. So it really depends on beauty's in the eye of the beholder. I'm digging the style of the wheel. I just want them to be a little wider. And then of course, this is front wheel drive base, but we have all wheel drive. Now, the great thing about the GTI is that it is front wheel drive, but it does have a limited slip diff. And this does not. This has open diffs. So something to think about. But style, I think they hit it. Coming down the side, you do have your metallic black on your mirror caps. There's your LED turn signal on the side. You got a standard size sunroof. And then from the side, the overall proportions, it's very tidy. It's actually smaller, a little bit smaller, height-wise than the GTI. And of course, what looks good on the outside with that smaller size is gonna be a little tighter on the inside for your passengers. One thing I wanna zonk is the bright, shiny metalwork. Everything is like dark gray, black. This needs to be blacked out, some dark chrome. Thankfully, it's only on the bottom. Love the color matched door handles. Coming towards the rear, this part looks great, but it does create a big blind spot inside. And you can tell by just how short the windows are. This doesn't have a big, huge greenhouse like a Volkswagen GTI, but I love the shape here. Now it's just all smooth into the rear quarter, into your lower bumper. The taillights, just like the headlights, are absolutely gorgeous. We have our extra aero. I like the raised spoiler on our roof and the way it extends back. And you do have an exposed wiper, but that's one of those things that when you go hatchback, the wipers are going to be exposed. The one thing I would get rid of is an option on this, is this aluminum plate here to protect the rear bumper. I don't know, it just kind of ruins the back of the car for me. Of course, you got your turbo badge, your all-wheel drive badge, and then working our way down the ground level, we have our dual outlet exhaust, stainless steel tips, functional exhaust for that 4-cylinder turbo. But at the back, like I said, I think the style is there. It's just that when we get to the hard numbers, there's just not as much cargo space as a Volkswagen GTI. But you have to question yourself, what do you really want? Do you want more utility, or do you want something more that you like looking at and getting behind the wheel of? Let's go ahead though, let's pop the hood and check out the turbocharged power. All right guys, we got the hood popped. You do have a prop rod. Both the GTI and this vehicle both have prop rods. So that's even Steven. And no, I'm not talking about Steven Flood behind the camera, even though he wants me to, which I guess he just got his wish because I did. But anyways, tasteful engine cover with the turbo badge. What do we got going on here? You got a 2.5 liter turbocharged inline 4, 250 horsepower, 320 pound-feet of torque. It is mated to a 6-speed automatic with the all-wheel drive, 0 to 60 in about 5.2 seconds. Top speed is governed for some reason to 134 miles an hour. MPGs 23 in the city, 32 on the highway, and the vehicle weighs 3,312 pounds. Now, if you compare that to the GTI is going to have a 2-liter inline 4 turbocharged engine, front-wheel drive with the limited slip diff, and it's going to be bolted to a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission. Now, remember, for 2025, no more manual transmission is available. So you're stuck with both of these vehicles in automatic mode. Just one's a DCT, this one has a traditional torque converter transmission. 0 to 60 is pretty much going to be the same. But the nice thing about the Mazda 3 Turbo is you have that all-wheel drive grip. So something, like I said, what do you want out of your driving experience and ownership experience? That's the big question. But why don't we go ahead, let's fire up this turbocharged 4-cylinder engine and hear what it sounds like. All right, guys, we're inside this 2025 Mazda 3 Turbo with the all-wheel drive. I know you're saying to yourself, well, Joe, this is a very good question you bring up because I'll be honest with you, the Mark 8 generation of the GTI, I don't like, Joe. I don't like it. But I've always had a sweet spot in my heart for Mazdas, especially the Mazda 3. How much is this one? So the way that this one is optioned with the extra aero package and the special optional color, you're looking at an MSRP right around $38,000. That pretty much puts it on par with trims with the GTI. Just saying. But let's see what else Mazda has up their sleeve. To the door panels. Love the two-tone. The black with that dark cherry red. Looks spectacular. You got the Bose sound system, aluminum speaker grill covers, a little bit of gloss black around the switchgear. Nothing too crazy, nice armrest, and then the door pocket is a good enough size to where you could get 4 beef and cheddars in there with all the horsey sauce that one can eat nicely in that door pocket. Going from the door panel to the dash, the two-tone, the stitching, all needlepoint perfection. Slide on in. This is the big argument. This is going to be the big thing that people are not happy with. It's the 8.8-inch infotainment system. Not so much the size, it's just not a touchscreen. But here's the good news. If you go with the GTI, you do get a touchscreen, but it's a terrible one to use. So I don't know. I don't know where you fall between the two. This doesn't bother me because you use the direct drive control knob and it's very simple to navigate through. So it doesn't bother me. But let me know how you feel about it in the comment section. Throw it in reverse. Backup camera's clear as freaking day. Love the trajectory. We got 360-degree cameras. And then working your way down, that nice material, your start-stop button, real knobs and switchgear for your dual climate control. We got heated seats, no ventilated seats. I wish there were. I'm going to zonk it. It would go like right there. Perfect. Ventilated seat. Ventilated seat. Heated steering wheel. You got your wireless charging. 2 cup holders, but they put them in a stupid place because you can only put a regular bottle here. You can't go any taller or it's going to hit the dash. This is going to control your 8-speed automatic. It's 6-speed automatic. Steven made me mess up. It's Steven's fault. 6-speed automatic. And then it's real simple. You got your sport mode. You just go, that's sport. Off, on. Simple. Direct drive control knob, real volume knob. Love the materials. This is where, and it's actually better materials than the Volkswagen. I'm telling you right now. You can slide it open for easy access. I know Steven loves easy access. Flip it up, 2 USB-Cs, and then you have this nice little divider. And this is kind of cool because, you know, sometimes you got to share, especially if you're in a marriage. You know, if you're going to have a successful marriage, there's that word that starts with a C. What word is that? Compromise. And if you're going to have a successful marriage, you got to compromise. And just remember these few short words. Yes, dear. You're good to go. But what's nice is with the divider, you could have your section and they could have their section. Now, I would give the large section, obviously, to Lori, and then I have this little section in the back. So she could put, you know, her bag of Sour Patch Kids, her Skittles, and then basically maybe I could fit a pack of gum in my section. But I'm okay with that because happy wife, happy life. Seats, the leather, they look great, they feel good, simple bolstering. Manual seat, I do have to zonk that. That should be a power seat at this option level. And then you do have a standard sunroof, and thank God a dark headliner. I'm so glad they didn't go with a beige headliner, for Pete's sakes. But why don't you get your butt over here? I want to show you behind the sporty steering wheel in this Mazda 3. All right, guys, business time behind the wheel. You do have electric seat controls, easy to get to. These seats, no joke, or how like the kids say, no cap. These seats are very, very comfortable, especially for daily driving. Now, the one thing to remember is the roof line is lower than the GTI, like I told you. So it's gonna feel a little tighter in here, but still at 6 feet tall, I feel snug as a bug. Steering wheel, they do a great job. The leather, I love the thin spokes, flat black on all the switchgear. You do have paddles on the back of the wheel to go up and down that 6-speed automatic. You do have 2 memory seat settings, and I like the way you could activate your camera whenever you want. manual tilting and telescoping on the steering wheel. And then you have that nice array of analog gauges with a digital gauge in the center. That digital gauge almost looks like a real analog gauge. Love the way they have that. Simple, that's all you need. And then they got a decent size head-up display. But let's get in the back seat. This is where things are gonna get a little tighter in this Mazda 3. All right, guys, backseat time. As you can see, even the opening is just smaller to get in and out of the back seat. But the great news is, once you're in, it feels pretty good. I mean, I'm not touching the headliner, so I guess that's a good thing. They carve out the back of the seat a little bit to give you a little bit more leg room. This is terrible. This is just, it's a grand slam zonk. No AC vents, no USB-C, and no 12 volt, nothing. So that kind of stinks. What I would do is with this pocket is bring yourself a battery electric fan in case you get too hot, or one of those mobile battery chargers. Like it's like a battery bank, and you could have everybody plug in USB-C, USB-A. Keep that back here because there's no other connectivity. That's it. Sitting here, feel good. You can see how the window size is just a little shorter, but that's what gives it the sporty look. It's a compromise, just like getting married. And then you got semi-soft on the armrest, 2 cup holders. I love the red interior, especially with the poly metal. But why don't we go ahead, let's get into that hatch, because I want to take you for a spin in this Mazda 3 Turbo. All right, guys, cargo area time. It's kind of cool. They hide the button underneath the Mazda badge. You do have to just use a little muscle to lift it up. This is where it gets rough. 13 cubic feet of space with the rear seats up. Now, the rear seats do fold down 60-40 split, but just to put in perspective for you, with the GTI, with the seats up, you basically have pretty much double the amount of cargo space that this has. Underneath the cargo floor, what do we have? You do get a spare though, and there's our Bose subwoofer. But why don't we go ahead, enough chit chat, let's do it how real car people do it. If you're ready, I'm ready. Let's go on throttle in this Mazda 3 Turbo. All right, guys, we're inside this 2025 Mazda 3 Turbo. We're gonna go on throttle from a dead stop. Are you ready? On throttle, here we go. Smooth shifts from that 6-speed automatic transmission. And you definitely get up to speed plenty with that turbocharged power. Now, what I do like is the driving position. The steering wheel is fantastic. Seats are really, really well done. And they do a great job with the sound deadening material and stuff. Now, the sound that we're hearing, is there's some of it is being pumped in through the Bose sound system. So just something to be aware of. But also the Volkswagen GTI has simulated sound. So it's not like one is real and one is not real. But navigating with this car is so easy. I'm gonna put it into manual shift mode by taking the shift lever, pulling it over to my leg. Look at this, here we go. Good turn in, on throttle. But the way that the car handles, it really shows how Mazda still values the driver, and it gives you great driver engagement. The thing that is terrible about this generation of the Mazda 3 is they got rid of the multi-link independent rear suspension, and they went back to the torsion beam, which for ultimate handling is not good. Not good at all. GTI still has that independent rear suspension. But with that being said, what they've done to their interiors over the past few years, they really elevated the bar there and created a really nice environment without you having to spend $10,000 more on the vehicle. So it's sort of like that balance, right? But very, very smooth. You don't have to wait for the turbocharger to spool up, which is great. That means that the power is coming in at a low enough RPM. Let me drop down second gear. On throttle, here we go. But the car is still fun to drive, and it's still very balanced. But man, oh man, if they would give us a proper manual transmission, a little bit louder exhaust, this thing would be a freaking hoot. Obviously the GTI is gonna give you a little bit better fuel economy, but I like the way this Mazda 3 drives, and I love the interior. And like I said, for me, the infotainment system screen doesn't bother me. It really doesn't. But whether you're driving it in traffic, whether you're driving it on a city street, or watch how I show you when you go to make a U-turn, it's so easy to do in this car because of the proportions and the turning radius. I mean, look at this. On throttle, here we go. But just nice to be able to, if you live in an environment where a front-wheel drive car is gonna be more trouble than what it's worth, this gives you that all-wheel drive security. And that's what makes it really nice. But I'm hoping that this has been a good overall review of what the Mazda 3 is bringing for 2025, especially the turbo. We're gonna get back to where it all started and wrap this one up. So I'll see you in a Mazda minute. All right, guys, another day, another on-throttle experience. I definitely gotta thank everybody over at Mazda for getting us access to this Mazda 3 Turbo with the all-wheel drive. Let me know what you think. If it's your money and you wanna have it your way, are you going Mazda 3 Turbo or are you going Volkswagen GTI? Let me know what you have to say about that in the comment section. But if you're new to the channel, you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Raised Rise family. Of course, we need to thank Stephen Flood. I may bust his chops, but guess what? At the end of the day, he does a heck of a good job. So show him some love in the comment section. Thank you, Stephen, for all that you do. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.